Okay, so in this we are going to discuss about architectural styles. Okay, now this is so you have to see what is the architectural styles. Okay, architectural styles. I think, but architectural style tells us what architectural styles tells us in very broad strokes how to organize our code. It's the highest level of granularity, and it specifies layers, the high level modules of the application, and how those modules and layers interact with each other, the relationship between them. Okay, now this is the architecture styles tells us. Okay, now why when we are using these architectural styles. Okay, now so we need to identify what are the advantages of these architectural styles, what will tells us to that particular develop team and whatever the persons the part of in this particular architecture designing. Okay, now so what it will provide us, and what it will be the major importance of architectural style when you are using. Okay, now that is mainly it will be discussed about it's having its own very good strokes. Okay, now milestones. Strokes are nothing but actually these are the milestone important things. How to organize our code. Are developing software applications means we will write the software code, high level language code, by using any other high level language, whatever it may be. Okay, now how we can organize the code. Organize the code means what, ma? How we are storing the particular data, how we can access the particular data, how we can process the data, and how we can execute the data. Everything will be the part that is called organize our code. Okay, now we will store our data in a particular data structures. Okay, now so our data is going to be organized. Okay, now how it will be going to organize. Okay, now how the results we are expecting. Okay, now how what is the results generations. Okay, now so these all things are organized in this consideration. We are using these architectural styles, and also it is the highest level of granularity. Yes, this is the highest level of granularity means what, ma? Importance we are given to that. Okay, now this is the software architecture. Definitely, this is the highest level of granularity. It will give the importance, and it specifies layers. Layers is nothing but what here, modules. Each and every module having its own purpose. Okay, now so it will mainly focusing on different types of layers according to the architecture. So we can say the architecture is not a entire the single structure. The architecture inside it will having the collection of structures. Okay, now every structure is treated as a layer. Okay, now how to flow the data, how to store the data, how to flow the data, how to control the data, how the data is going to be dependent together, and all things, all layers. Okay, now from given the input to get the output. Okay, in meanwhile it will be going to process. So while processing, each and every step is treated as a layer. Okay, now so this will be mainly focusing on these layers also. Okay, that is the very importance of these architectural styles. It will be focusing on that points. Okay, now and high level modules of the applications, mainly all are important modules. We are dividing the entire the project into different modules or some modules. Each module is treated as a one high level module. Definitely. Okay, and that is the major module. Each and everyone is treated as a major module. Okay, now so those are called high level modules. Okay, of that applications. The applications is nothing but is a project, is a program, whatever it may be, current applications, and how those modules and layers interact with each other. So now this is the very important in this. Okay, now so the layers are different, the modules are different. Okay, now so it will be mainly focusing and tells us how the both are going to interface together. Okay, these styles provide those things, how we will interface both the modules and high level modules and layers of them. Okay, now then only we can transfer the data between the elements. Okay, now so that is the main important here. We can form the bridge. We can form the bridge, that is called relationship between them. Relationship between them for with each other, the relations between them. Okay, now here these all things are very important things when you are designing the architecture by using a particular style. Okay, na? That is the very importance of what is architectural styles. Okay, na? This question will be asked for 2 marks. So what is architectural style? Okay, we have to mention these points. Okay, to design software architecture need different types of architectural styles. Okay, na? So some of the architectures, some of the person they are using their own perspective. Okay, na? They are using their according to their consideration they are using different types of architectural styles. Okay, na? But each and everyone has its own advantages and also they are having some disadvantages. So but you have to discuss what are those first. Okay, na? To design software architecture need different types of architectural styles. They are first one pipes and filters. Pipes and filters. Second one data abstraction and object oriented organization. Third one event based architectural style. Third one implicit invocation. Implicit invocation. Fifth one layered systems architectural style. Layered systems. Sixth one repositories. Seventh one interpreters. Okay, now these are the 7 types of architectural styles we are mostly using to design the software architecture to develop a particular fundamental software system. Software project system. Okay, now that is the first one, pipes and filters. Second one, data abstraction and object oriented organization. Third one, event based. Fourth one, implicit invocation. Fifth one, layered systems. Sixth one, repositories. Seventh one, interpreters. Okay, these are the architectural styles. So come to the first one, pipes and filters architectural styles. We are going to discuss now about pipes and filters. Already I told the pipes is represent for connectors. Connectors, what is the importance of connectors? These connectors are used to provide the relationship between the components. So who are the components? Elements, that is called filters. Okay, the filters are example for components. The pipes are the examples for filters here. Okay, now so that is the importance of it. So we come to the points here. Each component has a set of inputs and set of outputs. Definitely every component, every filter store its own data. Okay, now so we can organize the data in them. Okay, now they will store the data. According to data we will get set of outputs. Okay, now we want to get the output, it depends upon the what is the data is given to that in the form of input. Okay, now and a component reads stream of data on its input and produces streams of data on its output. Okay, now so we will in these components the data is going to be stored in the form of stream of data. You can stream mean nothing but we will store the data in the form of bits. We will store the data in the form of byte. We will store the data in the form of frames. We will store the data in the form of packets. So can according to that we are also store the data in the form of stream of means collection of. Okay, a stream of data as its input. Okay, as usual it will also provide the stream of data output according to the particular data. Okay, now after processing that data. Okay, now by applying local transformation to the input streams and computing incrementally so that output begins before input is consumed. Okay, now so every module depends upon the first. For example, you have to consider the second module. The second module is depends upon the output of the first module. Okay, now so every module has its own interrelationship to the other modules. Okay, now so definitely it will having the interrelationship means here the every filter. Okay, they are not directly communicate. The filters they are not directly communicate. They doesn't know. So what is the before and after filters to that? But they can share the data between them. How they will share? With the help of pipes. With the help of pipes means connectors. Okay, now so based on that it will be going to compute the input stream of data and can process the output in the form of stream of data. Okay, now this is nothing but the importance of this architectural style. So that is means by applying local transmission to the input streams and computing incrementally so that output begins before input is consumed. Hence, components are termed as filters. Okay, now these components are termed as filters. So connectors of this style serves as a conducts for the stream transmitting outputs of one filter to inputs of another. Okay, na? So what is the importance of these connectors? Okay, in this particular style, it's going to serve conducts a stream of transmitting. Okay, na? What will be transmitting data? The stream of transmitting outputs of one filter to inputs of another. Okay, now so what I said in this previous, according to the software development life cycle, every module, first module output is a input to the second module. Here also the first filter output is given as a input to the second one and another filter. Okay, now like this is the importance of connectors. They are transmitting the stream of outputs of one filter to inputs of another filter. Okay, hence connectors are termed as pipes here. Okay, now this is a very importance of this. You know that now we can have an idea. So what is filter and what is pipe? What is the importance of filter? They are used to store the stream of data as well as they can produce the stream of output according to the input while processing that. Okay, now so what is the importance of pipes? These pipes are used to transmitting the stream of output of one filter to give the as a input to the another filter. Okay, that is means they it can provide the connectivity or relationship between two filters. Okay, actually the filters doesn't know so which one can transform the data to the another one, but this process is under under the consideration of the pipes. Okay, na those are that is a very importance. These pipes are giving the connectivity or relationship between the filters. Okay, na and we are having some conditions here. So the conditions of these styles are filters must be independent entities. As I said previous, now okay, now the filters are must be independent entities. Independent entities means what? They will be having their own perception. They doesn't know. So when the first filter doesn't know the second filter doesn't know the what is the before filter and what is the after filter. Okay, now they doesn't have an idea so before and after and what is the before and what is that after filter. Okay, now that is each and every filter is independent together. Okay, now that is the meaning of independent entities. They should not share state with other filters. Yes, they doesn't know they are not having the particular property also to transform the data from one filter to another filter. Why? Because they both those filters are independent entities. Okay, now that's why they cannot know. They cannot share the data between the filters. Okay, now next, filters does not know the identity of their upstream and downstream filters. As I said, the point, this the particular filter it doesn't know the what is the upstream means before filter and what is the downstream of the filter, what is the after filter. Okay, now of the particular current filter. Okay, now it doesn't know. Okay, and specifications must restrict what appears on input pipes and the result that appears on the output pipes. Okay, here the main things the input, the output, the input, it may be the specification of restrictions that it appears the input pipes and also the result will be appears on the output pipes. Only it can be the depends depending on the output pipes. Okay, so and also correctness of the output of a pipe and filter network should not depend on the order in which filter perform their processing. As the pipes and filter network should not depend on the order in which filter performed their processing. Okay, they are not following any order. Okay, which one is ready to flow the data and transform the data. According to that, it gives the priority to that. Okay, the time scheduling. Okay, which process is come to the processor, that will be going to be the processed by the processor. Okay, in this according to the operating system also. Here also there is no specific scenario. Okay, na? So first come and first or not like this. Which one is ready? The first, according to that, it will be going to process and it will give the output according to the stream of input. Okay, na? That is the main thing. So this is a simple architecture or for pipes and filters. Okay, na? Here these each and every, these square boxes, these each and every box is treated as a filter. Okay, now these filters are used to store the stream of data. Okay, now our input. Okay, now based on this stream of input, okay, now the data is going to be flow from one filter to another filter, but with the help of pipes. Okay, now these connectivities are nothing but pipes. Okay, now these square boxes are the rectangle boxes are the filters. Okay, now these connectivity, these straight arrow is represented to the pipes. Okay, they are giving, they are connecting the both filters. Okay, now they are giving the connectivity or relationship between the both the filters, and also it can make the communication or relationship is going to continue to the second filter to third filter also, and so on. So this is a meaning of that. How many of the filters it will have, and which go, it's parallelly going to give the connectivity to each and every filter. Okay, now it will be going to these filters are going to be computation. So, but what is the output is produced after processing according to this organized data in the form. The output is given to the input to the as an input to the second filter. So, okay, now with the help of these pipes. And also it will have data flow. This is arrow is nothing but the data is going to be flow. Here we are giving the connectivity to that particular each and every filter. Okay, this is the main thing of this data is in the form of ASCII string. Okay, now so Unicode generally in the according to the using language the data stream is depends upon. Suppose we are using C code we are writing. So that will be depends upon the ASCII string, ASCII form. Suppose we are using the high-level language to develop a particular application as Java programming. So that stream of data is stored in the form of Unicode. Okay, 16-bit code, but it is a 8-bit code. Okay, now ASCII string, ASCII code, 8-bit code. Okay, now according to that it will be the change. Okay, now according to the language which one we are using to develop the particular application, it will be the data stream will be different. Okay, now here they are taking the example for ASCII string, that is a 8-bit string. Okay, na? So they will be stored according to that. They will be produce the output, but the first filter output is given the input to as a second filter. So and also they can send the data flow with the help of pipes. Okay, and this is the structure for pipes and filters architectural style. So and also the common specification of this style includes, in this style we are also having some common specifications. What are those? So pipelines. This architecture is also having pipelines. Okay, now. So what is the importance of these pipelines? Already we know the real-time exit. What is the importance of pipeline? So the pipelines are used to flow the data very smoothly. Okay, without any interferences, otherwise anything. Okay, now we want to send the data very clearly. We want to send the data to the all layers from each and every layer from starting to ending layers. So without any interruption. So we are using these special things. Those are called pipelines. Okay, now. So what is the importance of these pipelines? We can restrict the topologies to linear sequence of filters. Yes, so it will be restrict, these pipelines restrict the topologies to linear sequence of filters. Okay, now it will provide the linear sequence of filters, and also these are the two types of filters pipelines we are having in this particular architecture. So what are those? The first one is bounded pipes. The first one is bounded pipes. The second one is typed pipes. First one is bounded pipes. The second one is typed pipes. So what is the importance of bounded pipes? Restrict the amount of data that can be reside on pipe. Okay, na? It will be restricted. Okay, na? It will be put some conditions. We need to transform the data from one filter to another filter with the help of these bounded pipes. Okay, na? The pipes are the pipes are plays the main role to transform the first filter output as input to the second filter. But in this case, we are using in this architectural style two different types of filters. Those are bounded pipes and typed pipes. So what is the purpose of bounded pipes? These bounded pipes restrict an amount of data that can be reside on pipe. How much data is going to be stored in a particular pipe? How much data is going to be transformed from one filter to another filter to this particular pipe? It will be restrict. Okay, now this much of data stream we are going to transform from one filter to another filter with the help of these bounded pipes. That's why these are bounded. Okay, now these are bounded. Okay, now they can fix some amount of data. It's going to be transformed. Okay, now that is bounded pipes. Second type of pipes, typed pipes. The requires that data passed between two filters. Okay, now have well defined types. Okay, now there is no restrictions. Okay, now how much data we want to transform between two filters, we need to transform with the help of these typed pipes. Okay, the bounded pipes put the restriction. Okay, how much data it will stores, it will put the restrictions. Okay, now some level of data we are going to transform. Okay, it will put the restriction. But these typed pipes, it doesn't put any restriction, but we will transform how much data stream we want to transform in between the filters. Okay, now these are, we are using these two different types of filters. Okay, the batch sequential systems here. So according to that, we are also following the batch sequential system. The degeneration case, a pipeline architecture occurs when each filter processes all of its input data as a single entity. As each filter data is considered as a single entity. Each filter is treated as a single entity. As usual, the entire the data of the particular filter is treated as a single entity. Okay, now in these systems, pipes no longer serve the function of providing a stream of data and are largely vestigial. Okay, so sometimes, some situations, these pipes are no longer. Okay, in this situation, we are getting some drawbacks in this particular batch sequential systems. Okay, then, so for example, we are consider an example here. Best known example of pipes and filter architectures are programs written in Unix shell. Okay, na? So we will write the programs in Unix shell. Unix support the style by providing notation for connecting components. Okay, na? That is the architecture of Unix shell. So with the help in the Unix shell is architecture is designed with the help of pipes and filters architectural style. Okay, na? So these it's mainly providing the notation for connecting the components, the Unix process, and by providing runtime mechanism for implementing pipes. Okay, na? So runtime mechanism, it's mainly depends upon the runtime mechanism for implementing the pipes. Okay, na? And also second example for that, traditionally compilers have been viewed as a pipeline systems. Definitely the compilers are also designed with this particular pipeline systems. Okay, now stages in the pipeline include lexical analysis parsing. Okay, now in this particular subject, we are going to learn compiler design. Also we are going to learn, we learn, I hope to that, lexical analyzer. Okay, now we are having different types of pages also. Okay, now in the lexical analyzer. Okay, now that is also a compiler. Okay, now it's going to, while compiling our program, it's going to be having different types of layers independently. Okay, now that is another best example for this. So the kind of pipeline include lexical analysis parsing, that is analyzer parsing also, and also semantic analysis and code generation. Other examples of these types are, okay, now these are the best example for these pipes and filters architectural style. One is the unixal and second one is the, we have the lexical analysis parsing and also semantic analysis and code generation. Already we have the idea what is code generation, what is semantic analysis and all. Top down approach and bottom up approach and all also having LALR, okay, SLR. These parsers, we are having different types of parsers. They are also having their own steps from starting to end steps. Okay, na. These all are designed, these all are mechanisms are designed with the help of these pipes and filters styles. Okay, na. So for examples of these types of single processing domains, parallel processing, functional processing and distributed systems. Okay, na? So we are using these things also in single processing domains, parallel processing domains, functional processing and distributed systems. Okay, in these situations also, in this particular system applications also, we are using this particular pipes and filters architecture. And advantages of this, they allow the designer to understand the overall input and output. Okay, now who are studying that, who are designing that particular architecture, okay, now those person is called as a designer. Okay, now so it will be very easy understandable to the particular designer according to the overview of and entire the input as well as the output also, output behavior of the system. Okay, as a simple composition of a behavior of the individual filters. Okay, na? And they support reuse. These filters, pipes and filters style supports the reuse. Okay, na? Any two filters can be hooked together if they agree on data. Okay, some situations we want to hook two filters together, means hook means what, ma, combined or integrated, hooked together or embedded together. They agree on the particular data. Suppose the similarity of the data is having those, so we need to hook the particular filters. Actually the filters are individual entities, as we said. Okay, na? So some situations so we need to fix together. Okay, na? That is called hook together. Okay, na? Like this we are going to design. Okay, they are not directly communicate, but we need to, with the application process, while developing the design according to the designer's team. Okay, they will be have the right, the designers will be have the right to hook the two filters together. That is a very important advantage. Okay, individually they are not communicate together directly, but we need to hook them in this particular architecture. That is an advantage here. That is called, they support reuse. Okay, systems are easy to maintain and enhance. Okay, now, easy to maintain means it is very understandable to everyone. That is easy to maintain. How we can manage, and how we can work on it. Everything is easy to everybody. Okay, now, and enhance also. Now filters can be added to existing systems. Okay, now already we can add the more filters, additional filters to the existing system also. Okay, without missing the content of existing system, we need to add the new filters. We need to add the new filters. Okay, na? Unna filters ni manamu em disturb cheyakunda, we want to add new data, we want to add new things, we need to fix them. Okay, that is the another advantage of this system also. Systems are easy to maintain and enhance. New filters can be added to existing systems. And also they permit certain kinds of specialized analysis. Example, deadlock and throughput. Okay, now it will be also provide some specialized analysis, okay na, deadlock, how the process is going to block, or when it will be going to release, and when it will be going to execute, and everything, okay na. Every architecture has its own life cycle, okay na, already we discussed in this, okay na, life cycle, okay na. So sometimes in some phases it's going to be dead, okay na, the process is going to be dead, that is called deadlock, okay na. So this mainly analysis on this deadlock, and also throughput, okay. Throughput means what, ma'am? So how many process we are going to executed in a particular period of time, okay na, that is called as throughput, okay na? So these all things are the mainly concentrated by this particular architectural styles. They support concurrent execution, okay na. These pipes and filters architecture supports the concurrent execution, okay. These are the advantages of pipes and filters architecture. Then disadvantages. They lead to batch organization processing. Sometimes it will lead to the batch organization processing. Already we know that what is the batch organization. So in the operating system, we are also having batch operating systems. Okay, na? So multiple processes are trying to the process are going trying to entered into the particular operating system. Okay, na? That is called batch organization. So that is a one disadvantage. Filters are independent even though they process data incrementally. Okay, na? So filters are independent. That is the main disadvantage here. Okay, na? Even though they process the data incrementally, I know they can process the data. Not good at handling interactive applications. Okay, na? Mostly even interacting applications ఉంటాయో, it's not at all good. Okay na, ఎందుకంటే we are having some restrictions while transform the data, okay na. Bounded pipes for examples, okay na, all are not supposed to using the typed pipes, some are using bounded pipes, okay. It will also be having some restrictions on amount of particular stream of data, okay na. It's not support for that particular applications mostly. When incremental display updates are required, okay na, they may be hampered by having a maintained correspondence between two separate but related streams. That is another disadvantages. And lowest common demonstrator on data transmission, this can lead to both loss of performance and to increased complexity in writing the filters, okay. So every time we have to lowest common uh, denominators on data transmission. So when you are using these lowest common denominators according to the data transformation, so they can it can lead to both loss of performance. Automatically the performance of this architecture is going to be reduced, and to increase the complexity, okay na, difficulties అనేవి increase అవుతూ ఉంటాయి. ఎప్పుడైతే పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ తగ్గుతుందో ఆటోమేటిక్గా ద కాంప్లెక్సిటీస్ అనే ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ అనేవి ఇంక్రీజ్ అవుతూ ఉంటాయి ఇన్ రైటింగ్ ద ఫిల్టర్స్, ఓకే. దీస్ ఆర్ ద డిసడ్వాంటేజెస్ టు ద పర్టికులర్ ఫిల్టర్, ఓకే. ఎవ్రీ architecture has its own advantages and disadvantages. For that disadvantages, we will go for another style, okay. These are the pipes and filters architecture. The second one, data abstraction and object oriented organization. Data abstraction and object oriented organization. So abstraction means what, ma? It's not focusing on implementation, okay na. Means it's not seeing the background details, it will seeing on what is that and how it's going to process and how to execute this and how to get the results. So it doesn't know, it doesn't concentrating on the implementation side. That is called abstraction. Object oriented organization means general object oriented means what, ma? So it's mainly focusing on objects, okay na? So how the objects are going to organize and how they can going to communicate together. So everything is treated as a some features on it, okay na? This is called data abstraction and object oriented organization, okay. In this approach, data representation and their associated primitive operations are encapsulated in the abstract data type. Already we know that what is abstract data type or object, that is called as a object. So generally what is an object? The any real time entity is called as an object. So every object has its own features, every object has its own features. What do you know that? According to that, we can organize the data in this particular style. Okay, now every object has its own properties, and also they can perform some tasks. Okay, now, so suppose we are considered as a human. We are having some properties. What are our properties? Our name. Okay, now what is the height of the person? What is the color and what is the weight and everything? Okay, now. So that is called properties. Okay, now. And we are also doing some tasks. What are the tasks? We are walking, we are yes, sleeping, we are reading, we are talking together. Okay, now. These are all our doing some tasks. So everything is in an organized way. Okay, now we can that is called as abstract data type or nothing but it is an object. The components of these styles are objects or ADTs. Objects interact through the function and produces invocations. Definitely either explicit invocation and implicit invocations, but they can produce the functions and invocations. Functions means was not tasks. Definitely these objects are going to perform some tasks. Okay, now they are having their commonalities and also they can perform some functions and produces the invocations either explicitly or implicitly. So that is what abstract data type and object oriented organization. Simply I want to say this is a encapsulated in this abstract data type. It's mainly focusing on associated primitive operations on the particular objects. It's going to the components of these styles are mainly the objects here. In this, the first example, the components are filters. They are used to organize the data, store the data. Okay, now. So here the components are in these objects. Okay, now these objects having their own functionalities. These objects are having provide some functions and also they can produce some invocations together. The objects are going to communicate together. Okay, now one object is going to communicate another object. Those two objects are going to communicate with a third object. So they can create the interrelationship by acquiring the properties. Okay, how this is going to be implemented, we have to see two important aspects of these styles are object is responsible for preserving the integrity of its representation. So that what is the main importance of these objects is these are the responsible for preserving the integrity of its representation and also the representation is hidden from other objects. Okay, now so one object is going to be communicate but that representation is hidden from the other objects. Okay, these are the two important aspects in this particular style. So this is a example architecture for object oriented and date this particular style. So here we are having different types of objects. Okay, object 1, object 2 and another object like this. We are having a collection of objects here. Okay, now what is the purpose of these objects? These objects are going to perform the functions. So that is called what more process call. The function is nothing but a process call. Okay, now so they can processing something in the form of operations. OP is nothing but what more operations, either implicitly or explicitly. OBJ is a manager, object manager. OP is an invocation, either implicit invocation or explicit invocation. They perform some operations between the objects. Okay, so that is the ADT. This is object. This is the manager. So this manager is organizing the objects. Okay, now each objects they can having the interrelationship. Okay, now through performing the operations. Okay, now one object is going to communicate with another object through process calls. Okay, now this is the way of the data is going to be organized in between the objects and they can call together with the help of process call to perform the functions. Okay, now this is the internal architecture of this particular style. Okay, so we are having collection of objects. Okay, now the object are all under the control of object manager of that. Okay, now each object is going to be communicate together with the help of the operations by performing process calls. Okay, now this is the abstract data types and objects. Okay, these every process is called as abstract data type. We are going to conduct in between the objects. Okay. Next, advantages of these filters. It is possible to change the implementation without affecting the clients. Okay, so because an object hides its representation from clients, definitely. Okay, now so who are developing that, they will be know what the data is going to be, which functions are going to be performed by the particular object. Okay, now so they are hidden for the clients automatically. The bounding of a set of accessing routines with the data they manipulate allows designer to decompose problems into collection of interacting agents. Okay, now suppose they are having any problems are occurred, they can decompose the particular problem. Then they will connect collect, and they can divide the total problem into sub functions and sub problems. Individually it's going to be solved, and then they can be interacted together according to the agents. Disadvantages: to call a procedure, suppose we are calling a procedure, means procedure calls, procedure means procedure call, function call, so it must know the identity of the other object. So generally both objects are they doesn't know the actual, but when the process call is going on, automatically they identify the other objects. Okay, they are going to communicate individually. They are doesn't have any uh, knowing things. Okay, now they doesn't know the representation of other object. But when the process call is happen, when the function is going to start operating, automatically they can knows the other objects. Okay, now so that is the another thing here. Whenever the identity of object changes, it is necessary to modify all other objects that explicitly invoke it. So once we are change the identity of one object, okay, now automatically it is very necessary, compulsory to modify the all other objects. That is another disadvantage. First disadvantage is to call a procedure, it must know the identity of the other object. That is the second disadvantage. Whenever the identity of object changes, it is necessary to modify all other objects that explicitly invoke it. Okay, these are the disadvantages of this particular style. Then third one. Here, event-based and implicit invocation. Event-based and in both third style and fourth style combinedly we have to talk together. So event-based and implicit invocation. So event-based means what? Suppose event is nothing but one task is going to be conducted. Suppose in the real-time example, one function is going on. So the particular functional schedule manager, okay, na, event manager, the person is called as a event manager. The event manager has the plan of the particular entire the event, okay, na, when it will start, okay, na, when it will end, okay, na, the starting time and ending time. In between he will organize everything to successfully complete the particular event. This event manager having the some people, okay, na, so that is a team, he having its own team members. Okay, na, he can distribute his event tasks together to them. Okay, na, coordinatively they can perform the event tasks one by one. They having the coordination together, but they can implement according, then they can communicate together. Okay, na, so finally they can successfully complete the particular event as a grand success. Okay, na, like this also. So that is what is event based and what is implicit invocation we can focusing on. Instead of invoking the procedure directly, a component can announce one or more events. Okay, na? So it cannot invoke the what is the procedure directly, but on a component can announces one or more events. Okay, na? Other components in the system can register an interest in an event by associating a procedure to it. Okay, definitely according to that, this they can register the particular interested event by associating the procedure to it. Okay, when the event is announced, the system itself invokes all of the procedures that have been registered for the event. Thus, an event announcement implicitly causes the invocation of procedures in other modules. Definitely, what I said, the real-time example. So, automatically, implicitly, they can invoke together, that is according to the other modules. Architecturally speaking, the component in an implicit invocation style or modules, okay, now those interface provides both a collection of procedures and set of events. Okay, now how they can perform these events, how they communicate each and every one. So, but they can also performing some procedures. Okay, na? According to set of events. Okay, na? So the event is the one thing, but in this week they can have in the tasks, sub tasks. But each and every task is assigned to the single person. Okay, na? So the person is performing his own task while calling something. Means what? By procedure calling something. So he also be communicate with the other member who are performing the other task in a particular event. That's why we can call it as these styles or modules whose interface provides both a collection of procedures and set of events. And advantages of this: it provides strong support for reuse. Definitely it provides the strong support. Any component can be introduced into the system simply by registering it for the event that of system. Okay, now according to that it will be reused. Okay, now next one, implicit invocation eases system evaluation. Eases means easy. Okay, na? System evaluation. Definitely we want to elaborate the existing system, which is very easy to evaluate. Okay, na? Components may be replaced by other components. How it will be easy to evaluate the system? Already existing components, we have to remember the point. The pipes and filters, we can't change the existing filters. We can't delete the existing filters. If you want to add some features, if you want to add some modifications, okay, now we have to keep the existing filters as it is. Okay, now we have to add the other filters what you are adding to that. But here what is the advantage of here? We want to evaluate the existing system easily. We have to evaluate how it is possible to evaluate easily. These components may be replaced by other components. Okay, now without affecting the interfaces of other components. Okay, now so existing components ni manam ikkada delete chesesi aati place lo manamu new components ni manamu replace cheyochu. Okay, na without affecting results affect avukunda. Okay, na means interfaces. Okay, that is the best example advantage for this. Okay, now one is the it provides a strong support for reuse. Second one, implicit invocation eases system evaluation. Okay, now when we want to delete some components, we have to delete from those place. We have to exist the new components without affecting the interfaces and outputs. Disadvantages: components relinquish control over the computation performed by the system. Okay, now the under the every event is controlled by the event manager. Okay, now so that is performed by the system. Components relinquish control over the computation. Okay, now performed by the system. Then concerns change of data. Okay, now sometimes you can change the data. Everybody వాళ్ళకి permissions అయితే ఉండవు, but it allows to change the data. Global performance and resource management can become artificial issues. Okay, now these are the disadvantages in this particular style. Next one, layered systems. Layered systems. A layered system is organized hierarchically, level wise. Okay, now each layer provides services to layer above it. Okay, now so each layer provides the services to layer above it. Okay, definitely they can have the relationship, and also inner layers are hidden from all expect the layers. Okay, now, and also connectors are defined by the protocols that determine how layers interact with each other. So protocol means what? Rules. The connectors are defined by the protocols. So what are the connectors we are using here? So they are having some, they are restricted with some protocols. Which type of protocols? To determine how layers interact with each other. Okay, now goal is to achieve qualities or of modifiability and portability. What is the main goal of these layered architectures? So that is to achieve the qualities of modifiability and portability. Okay, now, layered architectures is nothing but, suppose for a best example, waterfall model. This is also a layered architecture. Okay, now so each layer is communicate with upstream layer. Why? Because it provides the thing. Why? Because this can be depends upon the output of the first layer automatically. Okay, now that is the main thing. So this is what layered systems. What is the first point? The layered systems is organized hierarchically. Each layer provides to a layer above it. Inner layers are hidden from all except the adjacent layers. Connectors are defined by the protocols that determines how layers interact with each other. Goal is achieve the qualities of modifiability and portability. Examples of these layered architectural styles: layered communication protocols, operating systems, databases systems. So these are the better examples for these layered systems. So operating system is also we are having the combination of user applications and software applications. Okay, it's also following some layered architecture. Okay, now, so it will also communicate with the hardware and software compulsory. Database systems also. Okay, now these are the best examples for these layered systems. So this is the thing. Usually process calls, composite of various elements, definitely. Useful systems, basic utility, core level, and the hardware. What is the core level? Users. So these are the different types of layers we are having in a particular layered systems. Okay, now these users communicate with this particular system. So with the help of these things, okay, now core objects. So this is the example of a layered systems. And advantages of this layered system: they support designs based on increasing level abstraction. Okay, and also allows a implementer to participation a complex problems into a sequence of incremental steps. Okay, any complex problem is there. Okay, it allows the users to solve the particular problem in the sequence of incremental steps. They support enhancement. Okay, they support reuse also. These are the advantages for these layered systems. Disadvantages: not easy. All systems can be structured in a layered fashion. So we want to follow this layered system for the some big applications or complex applications. It's not suitable. So that is a one disadvantage. Performance may require looser coupling between logically high level functions and their low level implementations. So suppose we are expecting the module is a high level granularity, but whatever the thing we are implementing, so sometimes it will be the low level implementations. Okay, that in this case it's not achieve the performance properly. Okay, so, and also difficulty to mapping existing protocols into the ISO framework, as many of those protocols bridges several layers. Layers bridging function is layer may talk to other than its immediate neighbors. Okay, now these are the disadvantages of these layered systems. So repositories. Okay, now this is the sixth one, repositories. So we can talk these repositories and interpreters last one in the next class, and other concepts also. Okay, I hope all you understood according to the pipestone filter systems and data abstraction, object oriented programming systems. These are, and also the layered systems and how they can organize the data and how they can execute the things, and what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages. Okay, I hope all understood that. థ్యాంక్ యూ వన్ అండ్ ఆల్. అలాగే ఉండండి మా అటెండెన్స్ తీసుకుంటాను.